No, I'm gonna hit that. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another trip into Suplex City for another Suplex City chat. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Matty G. We are running a little late tonight, but you know what? In this COVID era, this time really exists. That in itself is a question. Before I introduce our panel, I'm going to go ahead and say that we have turned our Streamlabs off again tonight. Down in the description of the video is a link to Elizabeth. She is going through some serious chemo last week or so. She checked in 2 nights ago and has been there getting round-the-clock chemo. So if you can donate to her cause, absolutely do. It's a link to the to her donation as well as to her Amazon wish list. If you can help, please do. If not, at least share the link. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the video. Do all that. Let's introduce our panel and jump right into it. The man to my right on my screen is Mr. Evil Dose Malachi. What's up?
Evil Dose is in the house. Evil Dose supports the good cause of supporting Elizabeth. Let's talk some wrestling. We're running late.
Like I said, though, time stands still in this area. And he is not only our Paynemaker, he is Wakanda's Paynemaker. How's it going?
No. What's up, everybody? Yes, please click on that link. Support a cause. I always like supporting a good cause whenever one pops up and I do the research. But other than that, this one is solid and this one's legit. So please, if you guys have time, click on that link. And I can't wait to get into this week.
Well, we're going to jump into that. But, of course, he is the man, the myth, the legend. He is JB3. What's up, brother?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm ready to talk some wrestling, and it is late, so let's get into it.
Ain't no thing but getting into it. And, of course, it wouldn't be a trip till Suplex City without the villain. What's up?
Hey, what's up? What's up? And, yeah, man, RIP. Another person that passed away was the mother of a big wrestling YouTube personality, Brian Zane. So, we want to shout out to him, make sure he's okay. And happy birthday, Ali from AEW.
Well, there's always some darkness, some light in the darkness. Miss Ali, the Nightmare Sisters. So let's just jump straight into it. We kind of covered SmackDown in our pay-per-view recap and so forth. So let's just jump straight into the Paynmakers Impact Breakdown. The floor is yours, brother.
Well, this one's not going to take as much time, but pretty much this Impact, it was a fallout from Emergence. Deanna Purrazzo, she beat Jordan Grayson, the first ever 30-minute Iron Man match. Of course, Deanna Purrazzo coming out on top. Highlight, she did her own, championship celebration. She had, of course, they had the whole thing like with wrestling. There was wrestlers around the ring. Deanna had a lackey or at least a partner, praise her while Deanna is trying to be all about her being the best champion in the world, being the greatest, and how nobody in the back can take care of her. She gets interrupted by Jordan Grace, who, of course, holding on to that Knockouts championship, one is going to challenge her again. But the big thing that happened was you had the return of the formerly known Emma Tenille Dashwood make her return back to Impact Wrestling. She's been on Impact. She was on Impact a couple months ago, feuding with the former Knockouts champion Ty Valkyrie. And personally, for me, I'm a fan of Tenille Dashwood. I am so glad to see her back on wrestling. And also, it gives so much more range and so much more and some new breath and new life into the Knockouts division. Because, of course, ever since everything went down, it's mainly just been a cycle of some of the same knockout wrestlers. You had Jordan Grace, Taya, Rosemary, Sue Young, now Susie, Kylie Ray, and then of course Kimberly. You know, it was always cycling between them. With Tenille back, you get a new fresh injection in there. And then at the end of the black tie event, it had the implosion or the invasion of the reality. Impact for a while had been doing this little Wrestle House thing, you know, kind of doing their own version of the reality show. Well, it seems that came to an end as the wrestlers from Wrestle House, mainly Kylie Ray and Susie, showed up as Kylie knocked out Deonna Purrazzo, pretty much saying to everyone at home and to all television audiences, this is the next feud, Kylie versus Deonna, because Kylie, before Wrestle House, was the number one contender to that championship. And so we're going to be moving forward with that. There was also a blowout match between Sami Callihan and RVD. And anyone is aware, yes, RVD is still wrestling. He's actually a heel. If people don't know, he's actually a heel in Impact with his girlfriend, Katie Forbes. And if anybody has ever seen Katie Forbes wrestle or seen her in Instagram or so, this woman loves to show her body. Just go to Impact, look at highlights, and you'll see her, no joke, always twerking on camera. I'm not joking. She does that. But let's get to the main topic of the Impact breakdown. I mean, there's simple matches, but the main topic was the main event between Eddie Edwards and Eric Young for the Impact World Championship. Now, and when Eric Young returned back to Impact, he became the heel immediately, taking out Rich Swann and then attacking Rich Swann again, pretty much putting this dude on the shelf into a retirement ceremony. And Eddie Edwards, who is the babyface, has been defending his championship every week during every taping of Impact. So with Eric Young and Eddie Edwards, it was pretty much like the heel. He was the freshest, while Eddie, he has been more of the fighting champion, but more battered because he had been defending that belt every week. And also with Eric Young, he's gotten back to what he was in NXT when he was with Sanity. He was being the cerebral, he was being very smart and methodical and meticulous, to where he won, and I say it again, he won the championship, to where now on Impact Wrestling, Eric Young is their championship. Now, personally for me, I actually like this new turn because I like Eddie Edwards. He comes off as of course, as a brawler, but the matches he has been I'm going to defend this championship every week. Of course, it was getting dangerously close to Cody defending that belt when it came to TNT. So but of course, Eric Young taking the belt, it's much better because Young, he's not only a veteran in Impact, he's more familiar with the formats and standards. And Eddie Edwards has the perfect position to start chasing after that belt while Impact starts building up faces for their newest competitor. And that's my breakdown.
Alrighty then. So we kind of agreed there wasn't a whole lot that went on Raw tonight this week, but there is at least one thing I got to talk about, and it's the number one contenders. Loser gets disbanded. The Iconics and the Riot Squad. Yes, we all knew. We kind of discussed it off camera that Peyton Royce was getting a singles push, which more power to her. She's actually a hell of a wrestler. Her and her husband, Sean Spears, run, a wrestling school together, so she knows what she's doing. But I just felt it was kind of out of left field. They went, we're having this match, and then they're basically coming to the ring. Oh, by the way, loser gets disbanded. It's like, the fuck? So they're going to break the Riot Squad up already? and then the pin 1, 2, 3. I went, well, fuck. And then later in the night, Peyton Royce just pushes Billy King into Raw Underground. Like, bitch, you go fight. We good? Did that catch anybody else off guard? JB3, how about you?
I'd say it caught me off guard as far as I didn't see it happening like right then and there. I mean, I kind of figured it. I don't want to say it makes sense given that it's reported that Vince obviously is like super into Peyton Royce. I just, like some guy from What Culture said, can I agree with him? I think it was What Culture. I don't know, one of those ones. I kind of agree with him though. Like, I think Billie Kay could have just been like her mouthpiece. I think they could have stayed together. Because Peyton Royce is Vince wants to push her up there. I can't really say surprising would be the word. If I had to choose the word, I would say maybe slightly confused. Like, or not necessarily confused, just like, I don't know where this is going to go. I'm kind of curious to see where it's going to go. I think you're right about Peyton. She's talented. She could definitely talk. I just don't understand. The only thing I could think of is this: if they're that big up on Peyton Royce, the fact that they would take her away from Billie Kay can say like one or two things. One, they don't like Billie Kay, which I don't think is the case, because Billie Kay she might not be good in the ring, but she's still entertaining. With her character, she's supposed to be an annoying person, and she does well at that in a funny way. Or they just really believe that she's holding Peyton down, which I think was the case with like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, and maybe the throwing into the Raw Underground arena was not anywhere near the scale of it, but it was a similar parallel to, Marty Jannetty getting thrown through the barbershop window. I'm going to give him a chance. I want to see what happens with Peyton Royce. If Peyton Royce becomes a huge star and she actually like performs well with it, I think it'll be okay.
Villain, how about you?
Yeah, I have to say I was shocked, for the stipulation coming out of nowhere. Like, when have you heard this shit before? Where I've never heard this in 10 years? I never, where it's like, oh, you guys lose this match, you're breaking up as a tag team, which one sucks because WWE in general and all three brands don't have enough women's tag teams, so that didn't make sense. Yeah, Vince is high on Peyton Royce, and to be honest, probably because he thinks she's prettier than her counterpart. That's the only thing I could think of, because they're both. I like them a lot as characters. I like them a lot on the mic, but in the ring, they're pretty much amateur hour. So, they lost. Then, their segment on Raw on the Ground looked like fish out of water. They didn't look like they belonged there at all. Them in their blue outfits compared to everybody else looked like they walked into another set by accident, if they were on some movie lot. And then she threw her partner in, and her partner got kicked in the head, and she turned around, and old man Shane, put his arm around her. She looked, she's good with facial expressions, but Raw is like the women's division. I don't see how she's gonna make a push. There's like 5 women there on Raw, so I don't want to talk too much. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that talks for 20 minutes on this topic, but we just gotta see where it goes. So whatever.
All right, Ryan, what you got?
Yeah, I'm actually a little confused here. Look, I'm not going to repeat everything everyone just said. Yeah, it was obvious that there was a plan for Peyton to be in a singles push. I think, David, I think it was World Culture, or at least for me, I've been listening to the Wrestling Observer sometimes. I think they or World Culture said that it could have been better if Billie Kay was like either a manager or like a mouthpiece or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just I think they could have at least build to this little stipulation though. Like, if there was some build there, because it was clear the Riot Squad and the Iconics were having a feud. Let's just say, after what happened at Backlash, they could have did like this little segment to where Billy and Peyton are trying to attack Liv and Ruby backstage, and then after they beat them up, after the attack happens, let's just say one of them just starts demanding an air match with them. Then it's kind of like maybe then the loser breaks up, or in this situation, if the company or Vince is not that high on Billy, it could be loser leaves Raw. That way, Billy gets pinned, the Iconics break up, but it's not more of a, a team breaks up. It's just more of Billy Kay has, and then Peyton can start that singles run, then Billy Kay's on SmackDown. But I do feel like the whole Raw Underground thing, that just felt like it was kind of like some little weird joke for Vince. It's like, okay, now you're breaking up. Now here's the next plan. What's going to happen? You're going to go to Shane's Raw Underground. And then you're going to be scared to go up against Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. And then Peyton, at this point, you just take Billy Kay and you throw her in there. Don't worry. It's hilarious. I don't think it's just good shit. It sounds like something Vince would have cooked up, and then Shane would have been like, hey, more money and TV time for me, so I'm cool.
Well, Shane is the best in the world. So. Joe, how about you? Wrap us up.
Yeah, this was widely reported that Peyton was getting featured, and so it was not a surprise. Dave Meltzer posted probably 2 weeks ago saying this is Peyton being featured is not by accident. So this was no secret. I agree with everyone else that it was disjointed or abrupt, whatever word you want to use for Raw. There was a pay-per-view the day before. They could have had that stipulation match at a pay-per-view. It seemed like it was just out of nowhere, and they just decided, enough of this. Let's pull the trigger. We want another singles wrestler, and we're not focusing on Sasha and Bayley as a tag team anymore. So let's get the Riot Squad and get them in a program with Shayna and Asuka. It was all very abrupt. It has. I'm not surprised or shocked because this is what Vince has been doing for the last year or so, where every week we hear these ripping up shows minutes before they go on air and rewriting them. So this sounds exactly like it. It sounds like something that was probably being planned to burn over 2 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, but instead he just decided to rip the Band-Aid off and go with it. So here we are.
Yep. All righty. One last thing. Over the course of the night, they had 3 singles matches to determine a triple threat main event to find out who the number 1 contender at Clash of Champions on September 27th. They finally got the date right. If you watched Payback and heard our Payback review, you'd know we laughed about that. It came down to Keith Lee, Randy Orton, and Seth Rollins. I kind of thought Keith Lee had it. I really did. When he hit that spirit bomb on Seth Rollins, I was like, well, he might get this. And then RKO out of nowhere. And then instead of pinning Keith Lee, Randy Orton pinned sorry, I lost my train of thought. Pinned Seth Rollins for the 1, 2, 3. I kind of thought it was entertaining as hell. Evil Dose, how about you? Hold on real quick before we go any further. Christy Murphy is the mother of Elizabeth. Ladies and gentlemen, the description in the link below, that is her mother. Elizabeth, we are absolutely thinking about you and your family. Stay strong for her, and we're going to keep doing our best to help as we can.
She looks like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, we are.
Yep. That's her image, yeah. So back to what I was saying. Evil Dose, what did you think of our main event?
Not much to add. It was sort of what I expected. I would have liked to have seen Keith Lee win, but I wasn't expecting him to win. I really don't want to see Randy Orton in another title match so soon again, but I don't want to see Seth Rollins in a title match ever again. So I don't know. It just seemed like a lose-lose to me. But as far as matches go, I think it was fine. I like, the end was good. Randy can't keep losing everything, so he is Randy Orton, so fine, whatever. I thought the Clash of Champions used to be where champions fought champions, so I don't quite get this, but again, another WWE thing is forget about our themes and forget about tradition, just do whatever we want. We'll pay attention when we want to pay attention, which I think is one of the little things that drives a lot of people crazy. And, this is one of the few little things that does drive me crazy. Clash of Champions should be a Clash of Champions. So I wasn't really feeling the whole thing. And let's face it, by the time Monday came around, I think that there was 5 or 6 days of wrestling shows, and a lot of them were must-watch wrestling shows. So Raw, it was almost like I was like asleep at the wheel with that. Mrs. Murphy, who isn't? But that's it. I've spoken more about it than I thought about it. It's fine. It was exactly fine.
Villain, I know you got some words to say tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, when we did our predictions, not our predictions, when we were on Monday, I didn't watch Raw yet, So I did say that I could see Randy Orton, like when we talked about his match with, when he lost to Keith Lee, I said it right then and there. I said, this, I could see him next week, getting a title shot. And lo and behold, it happened, just, they got to fill 3 hours, and it's always going to be a problem. Even with Raw Underground not really doing, maybe adding 20 minutes to a show, there's still a lot of time. So they're always going to add shit. And what we've seen Keith Lee versus Dolph Ziggler. So, woohoo, Keith Lee already going down, brother. Already your rocket right now is going like this. And then, you know what? This match was what I thought it was going to be. And, yeah, Randy Orton won. So, yeah, okay. I think Randy Orton, he might, at the end of the day, the way shit's going, he might win a couple more championships and be like the most recognized WWE champion of all time. Records are meant to be broken. So that's all I got to say about this.
Yep, you did. Go ahead, JB3. Lay it on us.
Talking about Keith Lee, huh? It's not surprising. I'll say this. I think I have faith that Keith Lee can overcome this later. I just hope. I don't know. I hope that it's all a path to something that makes sense for him. That's all I can really say about it. I mean, they gave him that victory over Randy Orton for a reason. Obviously, look, Dolph Ziggler always feuds with people in the beginning. He can make people look great. That's what he does. He'll make it just right, So we just got to see. It's all about how much faith you have in the WWE versus how much faith you have in Keith Lee and how that meshes together. It's really unpredictable.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were done or not. Okay.
I concede my time.
Okay. Ryan, how about you?
First off, to Elizabeth's mom. Also, you're not the only one who likes Harley Quinn too, so. But regarding this main event, yeah, I do agree. I mean, look, you really had 3 hard choices in front of you. Either Randy Orton gets another shot at Drew to where he's either going to get that championship and, become a 14, 13-time champion. Then you got Seth Rollins, who just looks like he's finally moved on. They finally pushed him past this Mysterio family angle. But at the same time, he has not had the best run with this gimmick as a heel in most circumstances. And then, of course, with Keith Lee, he just got called up. You were just looking at this main event. You're hoping that there was at least some oddballs like in here. Like instead of Seth involved, I mean, because they did also have 3 matches before on to see who qualified for that main event. If Dolph Ziggler had went up against Rollins instead, and then maybe he used some chicanery, then you had inserted Dolph Ziggler, then it could have been, I mean, sure, it could have been obvious it was going to be either Randy or Keith, but at least you would still have that wild, stupid conclusion of Dolph Ziggler there to be like, WWE will throw us another swerve. But ultimately, in the end, you know what? If Randy's going to be the guy, let him be the guy. Maybe one more time, Drew can beat him to where he's finally going to move on for the next challenge. But who knows? I mean, Randy has been white hot after, the whole thing with Edge, especially at least with his promo and his character. So I wouldn't mind him maybe going on a 2-3 month run as WWE champion. But personally, at least, I mean, as long as there's a plan for Keith, because I'm still a little bitter about what they did with him in NXT. Still bitter about that. But if there is a solid plan they have in mind with him, that he's actually after the big title, and I don't mean he's gonna be going for the U.S. title against Lashley. No, keep him in the top tier. Have him feud with, or give him another big match for Clash of Champions. You know, make sure that we all know that Keith Lee's there for a reason. He's just not the next call up just to flounder, and then next year we see him challenge for the U.S. belt, or he gets traded to SmackDown and challenges for the IC belt. You know, I get it. I mean, for television audiences, or at least for long-term plans, you got to try to trust the process. But we've been burned too many times, and the last thing we want is someone like Keith Lee, who was given a huge platform in NXT, to flounder once again, just for everyone to go, well, I'm going to unsubscribe from WWE. We don't want that. That's the last thing WWE wants.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to Tuesday night. We had NXT. No Wednesday Night War again this week. They actually pulled almost 900,000 viewers on NXT. Just saying that. First match, we had Legado de Fantasma taking on Breezango and Isaiah Swerve Scott. See, I can't talk. In a street fight. I guess it's a good way to, kick off NXT, weapons, carnage, and a forklift. I was kind of surprised that Breezango and Swerve Scott got the win by pinfall. I mean, it kind of took me off guard, but it was a good opening match. Evil Dose, what did you think of the opening?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun match. I really like Santos Escobar. I don't really care so much for Raul Mendoza, and I think it's Julian. What's the other guy's last name?
It's Walking Wild and Mendoza.
Wild. Right. Okay, so I'm not big fans of theirs. Last week we established I'm not that big a Breezango fan. I do have fond feelings for Isaiah Swerve Scott. I remember him well as Killshot in a show we don't talk about here, and his work on the Indies and Evolve. And I saw, I think it was one of the Viceland shows with him and the MVP were working closely, and that was pretty cool. And also Imperium got involved, so it was 5-3, and then the Faces still came on top. So, that was good. And obviously they want Swerve and Escobar to work together as a program. And so now they've traded pins, and I thought it was a fun match. It was a hot match. It's one of the things the WWE rarely does, that AEW does do, which is start with a fast-paced, multi-person match to keep it exciting and moving, keep you, watching and not changing the channel instead of just talking like I'm doing right now. So I thought it was a good match at the end.
Yep. Mr. Wakanda, what did you think after you slammed that White Claw?
I agree. Great opener for this. I mean, knowing the fact that that NXT had an Iron Man match set up for their last hour, they needed something to get their television audiences involved, and at the same time take an angle that they were already working on with El Gato Fantasma and with Breeze and with Breezango and Scott. I mean, this was pretty good. And also the interference of Imperium. It's good to remind audiences out there that Imperium didn't just lose the belts and now they're going to be off TV for a while. No, they're still around. They're still involved. So it's always a good way to remind audiences out there that whenever wrestlers drop belts, they don't disappear from an angle. No, they're going to keep it going. And also, I don't know, that spot from the forklift, though, I mean, that looked like it could have gone wrong in maybe a couple of ways. Most likely if they didn't land right or someone just didn't die. Because you saw with Scott and with Fandango, those two had little space on that small platform on that forklift, and they had to be very careful when they jumped, because we've seen so many times that somebody can get like a busted eye or a black eye or get busted open when someone is not caught right or a wrestler lands a certain way on somebody. But I still pop for that spot though. I mean, it definitely answered the question to when Breeze was getting his butt whipped. I'm like, where the heck is Fandango and Scott? Then you see them being brought in. And also I like the idea of them continuing Scott and Escobar and how Scott gets the pin on this one. I'm surprised it was Escobar that took the pin, because normally it could have been one of his goons that got the pin. And then, the commentators would have built up like, oh, looks like this whole thing with Scott and Escobar ain't over. No, but the fact that they traded pins leads to a good intrigue to when Scott wants to challenge again. He does at least have one claim to it, the fact that he pinned Escobar.
Villain.
Didn't watch it.
Okay. KB3, did you watch it?
Man. Oh, golly. I did not. I watched everything on NXT.
Okay. Then we'll move on. Next we had Candice LeRae basically, for lack of better terms, squash Casey Catanzaro. Casey had some a little bit of offense, but that's about it. My whole thought is basically the whole thing was her reaching. The end was when Candice basically invited Tegan Knox to her house for a one-on-one. It was a match. That's pretty much all I got to say about it. Paynemaker, what do you think?
Yeah, it was a match, unfortunately, and to me it was kind of a little upsetting because Candice LeRae, we know that she can work with wrestlers, male and female, and also with Casey Catanzaro. She may have not gotten a lot of TV time, but she has been getting the work at NXT, making that transition from being a gymnast on American Ninja Warrior to being part of NXT. I mean, she was even there before the whole shutdown happened. So she has been doing the rounds at live shows. She's been doing the work. So having this be a squash match just so we can hype up Tegan and Candice next week, it felt a little bit of a waste. And also the package before that, how they were talking about how Tegan and Candice had this close relationship of being best friends. And now Tegan is unwilling to let go. She doesn't want to give up on Candice. I was reading different articles and listening to different personalities regarding NXT, and all you had to do with this angle was strangely familiar, and the reason why it was strangely familiar is that all you had to do was switch out Candice with Dakota Kai, and it's practically the same feud. The difference is that it's not as intense as Tegan and Dakota Kai's was. This is more of the Tegan Dakota light. Like, this feels like a prequel to Tegan Dakota's feud. And personally for me, Candice was, at the time, she was like one of the wrestlers I think should not have been turned heel, because NXT always is big on their heel characters, and Candice was always like that great face to really not only be the workhorse, but also be a great balance to all the other heels. But now that she's a heel, to me it feels like she's fallen in the background, falling in the mix-up, even though I think she's great and she is a fantastic heel in the indies. It's just here on the NXT stage, they're not doing much with her. Maybe this will be Candice's time to shine in this feud against Tegan, but who knows? I mean, unfortunately, this time it's out there in the ether. I gotta hope they know what they're doing.
All right, Evil Dose, how about you, brother?
Well, as far as substance is concerned, Wakanda forever, because echo pretty much everything. Well, wrong direction. Everything that Wakanda Paynemaker said. As far as needless editorial, I really don't care much about either of these wrestlers. I don't really care very much about Candice. I sort of look at her, and it's a shame because she's young, but I sort of look at her almost like she's Natty just on NXT or female Dolph Ziggler. So.
Damn. Okay.
It was filler.
Yep. All right. Next up, we had Timothy Thatcher and Bronson Reed. Basically, this was just Timothy Thatcher beat Reed by submission after Austin Theory got involved. Dose, you got anything to add to that?
I liked it. I like Timothy Thatcher. I like that he got a win. I like that it wasn't a clean win because I like Reed. And yeah, I don't know what I think about Austin Theory, but it's good that he's involved in something with a guy who was just in sort of entitled contention. So I liked it. I thought it was a wrestling angle on a wrestling show to start a wrestling feud. And I mean, instead of the abrupt, disjointed nonsense that WWE has, they had sort of an interaction either earlier in the show or last week at a promo, and then he ran in. I mean, that's sort of 1983 wrestling 101. So I was down with it.
Okay then, Paynemaker.
I honestly forgot that Theory was back when I saw that. I mean, yeah, he was teased last week though, but I thought that he was permanently on Raw with this whole angle with Seth Rollins being part of his, stable. But I'm guessing, I mean, obviously we know why he was taken off TV during that time. I was amazed he was back on NXT for that. But I mean, if he's gonna be feuding with Bronson Reed, okay, let's see how they're gonna work this angle out with the heel David and a face Goliath. But with Thatcher, he didn't need that interference personally. We've seen with Thatcher, this dude can win a match just with a Fujiwara armbar and a sick, mean mug look. Okay? And to me, that interference felt like it kind of chipped him a little bit while they were trying to protect Bronson Reed. And I'm like, if that was their game plan with Thatcher, where was this protection when they were doing that with Karrion Kross? Oh, yeah, I forgot because they were high on Karrion Kross. It doesn't look like they're high on Thatcher here for some reason. But you know what? If that it's just tomatoes. Honestly, it's just like it's just like a handful of pennies. It's small change at this point. Maybe with Thatcher, he'll start building up some wins to where obviously he's going to be a challenger for Damian Priest once they finish whatever unfinished business he has with Cameron Grimes.
All righty.
I'm gonna say no. I heard someone say no for a second.
I said alrighty. And then our main event, the 60-minute NXT Championship Iron Man match between Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, and Johnny Gargano. I'm going to go last on this one because I don't really care. JB3, hit us with it.
So, obviously, when you heard about this match, it was NXT doing what NXT does when they get put against the wall. They just go all out. They just put all the cards on the table. Yeah, So they're like, let's take the 4 guys. Let's put them in a 60-minute Iron Man match. And everyone almost predicted what was going to happen. Pretty much everybody predicted that there was going to be one fall apiece, and then at the end, someone was going to take the fall. However, they did not expect that person that was going to take the fall was going to get a last shot in the back of their head. So I know a lot of people are pissed off about, the way it ended. I'll say this about the match. It was expected to be a great match. It was a great match. It was actually, to me, there's 2 things that bothered me about this match. The first thing was what I just said. I don't want to say it was overhyped because, like I said, it was an amazing match, and it was expected. But for some reason, like some of your greatest matches are when they're unexpected. Like they're the sleepers. It was like, holy shit, they just go and knock it out of the park. This one, it was like from the beginning when you heard the announcement, you were like, holy shit. So they go out there and they performed like they normally would have. But the second thing that bothered me was the commercial breaks. And it's like, I get it, it's NXT TV, but like, you literally, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if anything, they possibly could have did another event for this match so that we could have had it in its full glory instead of having, commercials. Because commercial always takes away from a match, and especially a 60-minute Iron Man match. Like, so then you get to the ending, and then people say it's a cop-out. I think I might agree, I get what they're doing. The only thing that bothers me about it is like it happened right at 10 o'clock. Like, I get it, it's a TV show, but it's like, okay, it ends right at 10 o'clock. And, like, I still remember WrestleMania 12. I still remember the 0-0 score when the clock went down to 0. Shawn Michaels shaking his head. No. Well, he would not give up to the sharpshooter. All of a sudden, it was going to be over. But Bret Hart didn't get to walk to the back. They said, nah, we're doing a sudden death. And they had a winner. That's the only, like, I know they could change it up whenever they want, whatever. But the fan inside of me as a kid, loving the fact that they did that sudden death, and then not getting that out of this, that's like kind of just, it I don't know. And then now they're going to have a singles match next week for one fall, which is going to be a great match, but it almost kind of depletes the excitement now that we just had this match. Like, this should have been the good ending. That should have put Adam Cole over, and like, I wouldn't even want him to have the belt back, like, at this point, but like, not how, man. Maybe had him not, you know what? They could have had him last shot Finn Balor and just get the 2 count, and then the time ran out. Finn Balor becomes your new champion while he's knocked out cold. That would have probably been a better result. Then Adam Cole could have just laid the belt across him and said, I'm going to take my belt back. And that's your first feud. I don't know. That's just me playing Booker, but it was, that's pretty much how I felt about the main event.
I want to say that's facts. You could everything you just said was completely true. Villain, what about you?
We all knew this was going to be a good match going into it, and that's the problem with NXT. It's basically like if you're going to an indie show. If you bought the ticket, you're going to be happy to see people wrestling. The main event is going to be good, and this one, the tomfoolery at the end really pissed me off. It pissed off a lot of people because you advertise some shit, and then now you're trying to stretch something because you got people out. So instead of, you give people an hour in a match, so the fans were invested for an hour, after a week of, okay, shit, we're going to get a new champion next week. It's going to be our match. All right, we got these 4 guys. They all been champion. So you got a little built-in storyline. So it's like, okay, we accept that. Let's go into the match. The match was good. I'm not going to call any spots because all these guys could go. And that's why they're getting paid, what they're getting paid, to be top guys in NXT. And then to end on that bullshit, that's not satisfying at all. That's a fucking letdown. And I'm serious, man. NXT was way better. I'm going to go on a little rant right now. NXT was better when they were on the network. Now that they're on TV, it's just not the same to me. It's like the shit going on right now. It's like you're either red or blue, right now because, we got the elections coming up. And that's how I feel about WWE. They burned me so many times. I'd rather watch any other promotion than WWE. And when I do watch WWE, because we talk about it, I don't have that excitement. I'm always kind of like, okay, oh, all right, whatever. And that's how I felt. I picked Finn Balor to win, and he's going to be one of the 2 guys going into next week. And I could care less, man. To be honest, I'm just, my love for WWE died a long time ago, and my heart, it just doesn't beat no more like it used to, man. Like this Tuesday, I watched Impact instead of this. I watched this match, but I didn't watch the rest of NXT because I could have cared less about it. I had more fun watching Impact, trying to figure out the storylines and see what's going on. But I watched this hour match because I thought it was going to be a good match, and it was. We can't not say it wasn't a good match because we knew these 4 guys could go. But then the ending was kind of like, oh, wow, that's what you give us for watching this shit. That's what you give us for being loyal to try to, get your shit up, million views, which you almost cracked because you had to jump another day because you can't fucking beat AEW. So, you know what? Whatever.
Man.
Ghost.
I'm not nearly as angry as other people are about this. I mean, the first rule of show business is always leave them wanting more. First rule of a soap opera is a cliffhanger so that people tune in to watch to find out what happens next. It is a TV show in a TV era. I understand about the commercials. Yes, they were annoying. I understand that you wanted to have a champion tonight. You have to wait a week. Big deal. I mean, this whole thing is unplanned, so it's just buying time until some other people can get healthy. Maybe they're, until another week for Loomis to get healthy, 1 week closer for Cross to get healthier. Maybe some of the people from Evolve they'll sneak in there and do something with. Who knows? But I didn't think it was that big a deal. They gave you the NXT hour-long workhorse match from all the guys. It went all the way to the very end. It's like a basketball game. You could have skipped the first 3 quarters of it and just watched the last quarter or just the last 5 minutes and gotten the story. But I mean, it basically went to the end, and you got your sort of finish. But I don't know. I thought it was fun. I thought it was well executed. I thought the timing was perfect. I mean, I understand there it's not live, but it's still the timing was perfect. I don't know. I'm not angry. This is fine. It makes next week's show or this week's show now more important to watch.
And Paynemaker finishes up.
Look, I can understand from Ghost's perspective that having an end like that would lead to intrigue for one of the people to watch next week. But the problem is that if this was a regular 4-4-way match that went 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it ended with maybe like a double pin or something like that would lead to intrigue for next week, that would work. The problem was this was an Iron Man match. And WWE, and I'm going to be honest, after that ended, I immediately went online to do research on the WWE's Iron Man match to see if they've ever done some finishes like that before. And they have only, without sudden death, without overtime, and I've only seen they have done it on 2 separate occasions. One was on a Monday Night Raw between Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels that ended in a draw. And I remember that one. That one had intrigue because there was no championship on the line. It was between 2 men trying to decide who is the best. It ends on a draw with the whole, I believe it was Kurt Angle trying to get that pin on the 1, 2, 3, but time ran out. That was perfect when it came to Raw. The second time, they did it on their own version of ECW after Paul Heyman had left. But, that doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is I thought originally I used to think that Iron Man match was something that WWE rarely did screwy finishes on. Whenever it did get a draw, there was always the intrigue of an overtime. They've done that. NXT did that with Sasha and Bayley. They did that with Benoit and Kurt Angle. They even did that in other matches like with Triple H involved or with the Hardy Boys. And even those recent one between Ziggler and Seth Rollins when they did that for the Intercontinental Championship, that went into overtime. You think that, of course, cable, TV time, so they don't want to go over it. But it was just kind of those little maddening things to where NXT, you didn't have to try to intrigue us to watch next week. You already had us. I think the number said it right, over 900,000. It's more than you have gotten within the whole since you've been on since you've gone to war with AEW. You didn't have to worry about getting people in next week. Give us a strong finish. And here's what personally gets for me, because last week when we were all predicting who'd win, I had put down Gargano to win. And even though Balor and Cole got the more pins, but if you saw in those last moments, Gargano was going to get that pin, then Balor gets the coup de grace. He gets that pin. And then within minutes left, Cole hits that last shot. And this is going to tie into why I think the outcome was wrong. Because if you look at these competitors, out of all 4 of these men, who could have given you a good storyline with that championship? To me, it was Gargano. Not because he's a heel, but because he has issues with all 3 of those men in the ring. He lost to Finn Balor when Finn Balor turned heel. Johnny has never gotten his comeuppance back. Adam Cole robbed him of his first legitimate reign of NXT Championship. That could have been a good feud to go with. And also, after the terrible end of the one final beat of that cinematic match between him and Ciampa, what better way to restart that rivalry? You have Gargano as champion. Gargano would have given you 3 different storylines. Sure, he would have been a heel. I see that head shake, JV3. Let me finish, and then you guys can rebuttal me later. You guys can tell me why Gargano's a bad pick.
I'm not even going to rebuttal you. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that with Gargano there, him as a heel champion, he could also give some great promos, because if you look at his record, he has the 3rd lowest run as NXT champion. He has the shortest reign as North American champion, and I think him and Tommaso Ciampa also have one of the lowest reigns as tag champions. If you look at Gargano's record, it pretty much shows you that this man can't go the distance with a championship. He wins it, but how long can he hold it? Him being a heel and also being an opportunistic heel leads to so many opportunities for him to be in feud to where he will do whatever it takes to win. And him as champion would have added another layer, another dimension to that championship, because it goes back to the days of old NXT when you had Neville and Bo Dallas as champions. They started off as faces, but they end up becoming heels because they did whatever it took to hold on to that championship until you had bigger people win. Like when Sami Zayn won his championship off Neville, it was always that tease where would he cheat to win, because Neville would do that. And when Neville beat Bo Dallas was cheating to win when Neville had beaten him. It's those simple examples of when you have a heel champion who would cheat to win, or at least who is so desperate to win. It worked that much better when you had Gargano with the belt. Now, it's not going to happen now because it's going to be Cole and Balor next week. Personally, to me, I didn't expect Cole to. I didn't want Cole to have that belt because he's already had that long reign. I think he's due for like one big feud, and then maybe he can. I don't know. He can maybe have some big matches later on. I don't know what the plan is for Cole. I just felt to me that with the storyline moving forward and a better way to build up bigger stars would have been to have Gargano with that championship.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah,
we'll never know.
You never know, because the what if with Ryan just never ends. The what ifs never end with Ryan.
No, I don't.
Let's move on to Dynamite, shall we? Because this was the go-home show to All Out. Let me get to the top. So, kicking off the show, we had Santana and Ortiz taking on the Best Friends. They're still beating up Chuck E. T's mom's car. This started out as, the heels beating up on everybody, and basically they beat up all the way through. Santana and Ortiz take the heel victory with that nasty hit from that nightstick. Villain, I know that's some villain shit right there. What you feel, brother?
This, to me, it was kind of a letdown, to be honest. I'm not going to be biased to AEW, even though I prefer them, but it's just the lacking of video packages, the 3-man commentary, trying to hype the match, which is not going to be on the pay-per-view, so maybe this is the end of the feud, but, because they had something intriguing on Dynamite. They actually, not on Dynamite, on AEW Dark on YouTube on Tuesday, where these guys cut a really scathing promo Pride and Powerful did. And then, the best friends came out and, beat them up, gave them their comeuppance a little bit. The match was fine until the botch. That kind of took everybody out of it. I can't excuse that. People saying, oh, he was under the ring, but the ref, that stall was kind of and then the ending was, to me, it was just, it wasn't that good. To open up the show, it started off okay, but then it kind of left me like, I was left flat, to be honest, on this one.
Alrighty. Dose, how about you?
Yeah, I'm feeling the villainy right now. That didn't come out right. everyone knows I'm not a fan of Best Friends. Everyone knows I'm not a fan of how LAX has turned into PNP, how they've been treated. I will say the right team won. I'm glad that PNP won, but I wasn't impressed with the match, and I didn't like the end. I mean, if you're going to use the baton, it was almost too subtle. It's like it didn't really look like a baton. It almost looked like it was just like sort of like a little stump of a stick, and it wasn't like he really slammed it with it. It's just like the guy ran into his back holding it. I mean, it was no impact. It wasn't even. It was like the middle of the back. It wasn't even like the back of a head or the base of a skull, something like that. So the match fell flat for me. I just hope this feud is over.
Fair enough. Paynemaker. Oh God, everybody in the deck.
I'll have to admit, look, this match did feel like it was a bit, wasted at times. I mean, especially with people not following Dark. I mean, the best friends have been showing a different angle. I mean, this feud has brought out a different side of the best friends where they're not always being as happy, cheery, where in their matches on Dark, whenever you see them on Dynamite, they're always like having them, they've been developing a mean streak because they're taking this thing seriously, the whole thing with Trent's mom. I mean, us at home feels like it's stupid. Why would you want to do this angle with the wrestler's mom involved? And to me, I think it's a little ridiculous too. But I like how it's giving a different side of the best friends to where these guys are serious enough. They're not only were they serious, they attacked Pride and Powerful. They did what heels normally do in a match. They would jump their opponents. That's how pissed off these guys were. And this match, I don't know what it is with this ref. This has to be the worst ref I've seen in AEW. Pride and Powerful were doing these heelish moves, and the ref was just sitting there watching it happen. Where you could literally disqualify these guys 5 times over. I mean, I really don't get it. I mean, I understand that they're the heels, but normally with heels, they do these dirty tactics when refs don't look. Other than that baton spot, everything else they did, like Santana grabbed the guy's hand. That it was in full view of the ref when he did that to break up that 2 count. Or whenever Santana Ortiz would do something ridiculous when either Trent or Chuck had their backs turned and the ref is in full view. This was the worst thing I've seen of ref activity to where it distracted me from this match, honestly. I mean, this was a waste. They not only did they deserve the better place in the card, they deserved a better official refereeing this match. I would have taken a WWE wrestler over whoever this guy was.
Okay. Next up, we had SCU and Private Party taking on Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. Winner of this match, the winning team faces each other at All Out. Paynemaker, lay it on us.
One thing for sure, gotta give props to the Bucks. They definitely know. They definitely knew how to book themselves. I mean, of course, when AEW started, everyone assumed all members of the Elites would be getting championships, but the fact that within over a year, the only people who really got championships first was Hangman and Kenny Omega as a tag team, and then Cody later on. But now, as you see with the Bucks, you're starting to see it's wearing on them, especially after Hangman costing them an opportunity to face them at All Out. You clearly see within the Young Bucks' actions from the start, from their entrance. They don't do the pose. They don't do anything. And then, of course, in that match later on, Matt confronting seeing a fan who's got like a Hangman poster and a beer cup, pretty much did what Matt Jackson would do in New Japan or Ring of Honor. He shit on that fan, tore apart that sign, poured beer on him, pretty much did a dick move that you expect him to do in Ring of Honor. And then, of course, later on, you see how they're so focused on winning, they don't even want to coordinate with their partners, Jurassic Express. You can see how when Matt blind tags himself on Luchasaurus is kind of taken aback by it. He's like, wait, what was that for? I had the match won. To where the Bucks just wanted to get the pin because they wanted to get the job done. This is kind of a good angle for the Bucks going in on All Out, because depending on whoever comes out on top in the tag match, it's clear the Bucks, they're no longer playing games anymore. They're here for business. They're here to win the gold, and they don't care anymore about stepping on toes or walking on eggshells. this time they come to play.
Yeah, villain.
Yeah, going into the match, you kind of knew the writing was on the wall, which team was going to win, which teams were going to win. I don't know why. I guess they're going to be number one contenders, so it is what it is. Ryan brought out an excellent point, when they highlighted Matt going outside the ring, ripping up the sign, putting a beer on the guy's head, which was okay. They had some nice tag team work with Jurassic Express, when they did the flips off top ropes, when they all did their moves. And, the Young Bucks had to take the W, and they're going to face Jurassic Express at the pay-per-view, which I don't mind seeing these two teams go at the pay-per-view. I'm going to spend the $50 to watch this one. So I don't mind this match, this was another match that, AEW was just kind of like, this match was like, oh, okay, whatever, to be honest.
Okay. JB3, did you watch this one? Okay. Okay. Well, first I want to point out
I'm so sorry. I missed a lot of Dynamite because I was really busy. I'm so sorry.
Apologize for giving us that close-up of your nose.
I know.
Did I got any mocos?
Yeah, you got a big one right there. Right there, mijo.
You didn't go to Evil Dope.
Well, I know. I was going to go real quick.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just, that spot with the fan right here, I got a huge WTF moment. One, I know we're supposed to disbelieve wrestling, turn off our reality. But I'm sorry, during the whole COVID no fans era, that wasn't no fucking fans standing there with that sign. That right there took me completely out of the match. It's like, we all know better. That is somebody planted there. That was stupid in my opinion. That was bullshit. That was stupid. Trying to get cheap heat on the Bucks. I don't really care. SCU and Private Party actually look pretty good. Kazarian and Daniels always look good. Private Party are actually looking pretty. They look better recently. They're getting their work in with Matt Hardy, so that's all in good. Yeah, I think the right team won. Yeah, Evil Dose. How about you?
Let's start on a different angle a little bit. This is the best I've seen Luchasaurus look in months, probably since the beginning of AEW. When he first got an injury and they said it was a hammy, and then they said, no, it's just a knee, and he came back in 2 weeks instead of, I think they were talking about it was October and it was going to be till January. Well, I think that they did rush him. I don't think he was 100% since, but this is by far the best I've seen him look. He looked quicker. He looked less tentative. His moves look more impactful. For a big guy, he didn't look like he was holding back, and he looked more confident. I know that one of the spots wasn't great, and that's going to happen, but so what? This is the best I've seen him look, and that's good to see the big guy making some noise. For a match that you pretty much knew who the winners were going to be going in, I think that it was pretty good. I agree with pretty much everything. I mean, this pains me to agree with the Paynemaker so much today, but I agree with pretty much everything you said. I actually agree with everything what Matt you said about the plant fan. It doesn't work in this arena. At least say that it was a wrestler who was there as enhancement talent and was taking too much of was acting too much like a fan. I mean, it's supposed to be the smart promotion with smart fans, and they acknowledge that. So that was dopey. But I like the Bucks' different demeanor, and I had a slightly different take than Paynemaker during the match. I thought that the Bucks and Jurassic Express did coordinate okay. There was a time where I distinctly remember that Nick, after doing the hot tag, pointed to Luchasaurus like saying, "You block him, make sure he doesn't interfere," and Luchasaurus sort of looked around and then did that. And I mean, it was enough. It's not like they were working like, like how you see the LIJ work, and everything's all crisp and synchronized. But it was good enough, and I liked how they just sort of walked out and didn't want to celebrate that we won. Now you're our next enemies. We're no longer friends. I thought all that was well done. So yeah, kudos, and I'm excited to see the big guy looking good.
Yep, I like it. All right, let's move on to the Chris Jericho. It pains me to say this, squashing Joey Janela match. Chris Jericho comes out, beats the living shit out of Joey Janela. Joey hits him with an elbow, gets like 2 minutes of offense. Joey gets crushed, face slammed into the turnbuckle, cuts himself open while wearing an Orange Cassidy shirt. Jericho wipes the blood on it. Cassidy runs in, they scrap for a minute. Jericho runs off like the heel he is, and that sets up the match on Saturday. Dose, since you finished us, why don't you start us?
That's fine. I liked every part of this match. I think that Jericho squashing Janela was terrific. I don't really like Janela, so that's part of it, but I think it's fine. Jericho needed to look strong and serious. That's the whole thing, is that like maybe he's been taking Orange Cassidy lightly, and so Janela is another sort of little guy, flash, indie darling, sort of from the same pedigree as Orange Cassidy. They've both been wrestling about 15 years, same promotion, so it's sort of an example. I loved how he wiped the blood on the Orange Cassidy shirt and showed it to Orange Cassidy. The only part of this match that I didn't like, which wasn't really part of the match, was that Sonny Kiss looked so inept coming down in the rescue. I mean, at least get 30 seconds or so of offense on Jake Hager, not 3.2 seconds worth, or don't come, or don't bother, because it just made Sonny Kiss look terrible. And Jake Hager much stronger than he needs to look and is. I even like the setup earlier where Jake Hager went into Orange Cassidy's dressing room. That whole thing, as campy as it was, it worked for me. So this whole thing worked for me, except for poor Sonny.
Right on. Yeah, I kind of disappointed. Sonny got hit, and you hear this. That was really bad, and I really like Sonny Kiss too. I like his moveset. Villain, what did you think?
Yeah, I was actually a little disappointed because I like Joey Janela. Honestly, I like every AEW wrestler. So I'm kind of like optimistic, but it makes sense, like the Evil Dose said, Jericho needed to look strong going into the pay-per-view match. He needed to take it seriously, and he did. What the shit? I can't even remember the fucking. It's not even Judas Effect. When he hit him with the double knees, when Joey Janela's coming back in the ring, yeah, I thought that looked really cool. And they kept showing, Orange Cassidy outside of the ring, nonchalantly, kind of not really caring. After he beat Joey Janela, somehow he got Orange Cassidy to come in the ring. He kind of Jake Hager came in, whipped in, then Sonny Kiss came in. And Sonny Kiss, it wasn't their feud, so I could see why he got wiped out so clean. If it was Joey Janela's feud, then I could see him get more offense. But it's Orange Cassidy's feud, so I could see what why he got wiped out like that. Yeah, the blood looked good. This is not going to be the last time we talk about blood this night in AEW. But that's the cool thing about AEW. We got some blood. We got a lot of cussing tonight, too, on some crazy shit. We ain't even talking about that yet. We're going to get there soon. But, yeah, man, this is this company is turning into some maybe NC-17, man, the way they're going to go. But, the match was what it was. Builds to the pay-per-view. So, yeah, I give it a thumb up.
JV3, did you watch this?
I've seen the end. And Jericho did need to look strong. He did need to be serious. I think that from the parts that I did see and what you guys explained about the match itself, squash, and then I'm look. half the wrestling world shits on this. AEW fans loves it. I'll be honest, I don't love it, but I like it. I think Jared. I don't want to bring it up too much, but for the last performance, some things that happened. I think that they can do better, and I hope they do. They'll find a way. And when we get into predictions, I'm gonna have one. So,
alrighty. Real quick, I just want to say something real quick before we move on. Caleb the other day last night before last, had a seizure, and we ended up at the Children's Hospital again for the last 2 days. And because of it, we weren't going to be able to afford All Out. And just out of grins and giggles, I emailed the AEW contact us thing and said, what was going on about it all and so forth. And I got an email back from them that says, hey, Matt, if you check your BR Live account, you should see that you have access to AEW All Out. Please enjoy the show, AEW.
Dude, that's what's up.
So shout out to them.
That's
That is awesome.
That's why I like AEW. That's why I like AEW.
Because WWE'd have been like, fuck you guys.
Yep.
Pay that.
Most likely giving you a certificate for some 50% off merch. On
WWE is not responsible for the behavior of their talents. We take all these. Wrong standard email.
I just thought pretty much. But, all right, let's move on, shall we? Then we got and then we got Eddie Kingston, and basically everybody who's anybody is going to be in the 21-man battle royale come out, and they have like a quick fight, which was not really anything special. Didn't really lead to anything, but that happened. So that happened. Then we had Thunder Rosa taking on Serena Deb, and Serena Deb may not sound familiar with her name. I'm trying to remember what her WWE.
I think you missed something, brother.
She was a part of the Creative Society with.
What did I
figure? Dylan's trying to get your attention on the Battle Royal sequence.
I thought it was Taz talking and then Jake the Snake.
It was Taz, then Jake.
Yeah,
then Eddie Kingston comes out.
Hold on. I got my notes.
Murdering people with his promo. Eddie Kingston murdered people with his promo, man.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Taz came out with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. Basically, Taz says one or two people are going to win the Battle Royale. Says Darby Allin needs to wake up. Starks is going to whoop his ass. And then the big schmuck, Lance Archer, can't deal with Brian Cage. Which then, you said somebody else's wrestler, which then that brings out Jake Roberts and Lance Archer, who come out and said that Taz won't be busting a nut in the ring. Yes, Taz actually made a jizz joke on comment. Says Taz and his men are the biggest group of losers he's ever seen. That brings out Eddie Kingston with the Butcher, the Blade, and the Lucha Brothers. Kingston tells them all to shut up, says Lance isn't as tough as him. He says Taz used to be around killers. Now he's hanging around with two nobodies, which then randomly brings out Tully Blanchard and Sean Spears to come out and watch. Taz says enough of the talking. Everybody gets into a big fight. Cage and Archer square up, but Starks hits Lancer and all hell breaks loose. Darby Allin comes out and tackles Ricky Starks. They continue to fight. Then the Inner Circle and the Best Friends come out and they all fight.
Yeah.
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring that up till we got to.
Well, then we'll bring it up then. Let's finish off Dynamite. I just thought I'd put it in there because of reasons.
I got that. So next, we had a cutaway short video with the Dark Order, which Dark Order is doing hilariously funny shit on.
Great. I'd like to talk about the Battle Royal scrum for a moment and some of that stuff.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind. I thought this was a mess and it was weird. And the only one that ever looks like they're coming out of this looking good is Billy Gunn, which I think is really weird. And they just can't resist putting him in Battle Royals just to look so goddamn big. But he's 57 years old. But what I don't, there's a few things I didn't understand with this. And one is, I don't understand what's going on with Jake and Taz and Archer and Cage. Who's the heel? Who's the face? I mean, you can't make Jake Roberts and a Murder Hawk the faces, but you could make Taz and Cage faces, but Starks is facing Darby Allin, who's, the baby face. And it just, so unless you're going to have a schism between that newly formed alliance already, which I suppose is possible, that was just weird. The Eddie Kingston thing was weird. The statement about, I don't know if I should take you out on a date or fight you, was weird. The whole Tully Blanchard, how him and Sean Spears like sort of slowly walking parallel across the back of the stage as if there was some reason that finally he lets him in. That was weird. It was, to me, this was the what should. I love Battle Royals. I love the mess. I love the train wreck. I love the slobber knocker. All of it. This just felt like a mess. I don't. This did not make me want to see the Battle Royal any longer. And we're only left with the one question, which we'll get to later. But even then, I mean, the last time they had a surprise entrant in the Battle Royal was Brian Cage, who won it. It was the 11-man Battle Royal or whatever. And to do that again, I mean, it almost seems necessary, but it also seems like it's like a repeat. Kingston makes a little bit of sense, but he just lost to Cody. So I don't know what's happening here, and I'm not sure that I care. Which is not, if I don't know what's happening, I should want to know what's happening. I just sort of want to get through it.
Fair enough. Anybody else have anything they want to discuss about the Battle Royale?
Yeah. I just want to talk for a quick minute about this. This was like a train wreck, man, which was so weird. Like, watching this was so freaking weird because you had all the heel managers healing on each other and then beefing, bringing their guys out to beef with the other heel guys, So it's like, you don't see that. It's always, the heels are kind of copacetic, and, always a common goal being up good guys, but these guys were just talking crazy as hell. Like for TNT, like they're doing stuff that WWE sure as hell not doing on USA or Fox. Like these guys are cussing, man. The only like I said earlier, they're not NC-17 yet because they're not dropping F-bombs yet. They're only a few cuss words away from like, and they started bleeping stuff out this show. So they're actually like cussing like this is an indie event. A lot of these guys are known for just being indie guys, so they could say, there's stuff they need to say. Like, yeah, the promo's not written, but this was wild. The brawl, I could care less about that. It was there for viewers to look at and be like, okay, well, we'll see what happens at the pay-per-view. So the brawl, I could give a shit about, all the people coming out. But yeah, it was just this shit was bonkers, man. And Jake. The whole bust a nut, you guys are scroll looking for nuts, but you're not going to bust a nut. We know what that's about. And then Kofi Kingston, or not Kofi Kingston, Jesus Christ, I made the same mistake I've seen people online do it. Eddie Kingston talking about Ricky Starks being pretty. That might be a jail reference where he's like, I don't know if I want to take you on a date or fight you. I don't know. But yeah, this shit was extreme on some crazy shit. Uncalled for. Surprising to see this shit on Wednesday night, before pay-per-view on TV. But yeah, this shit was fucking wild.
Wild is a hell of a word to use. It really was. Like, it got some craziness. But it did make me a little bit more interested to actually see the Battle Royale, just because I want to see who goes into who and who lays out who.
Yeah.
So all right, moving on. We had another little short video with the Dark Order. Dark Order are doing fucking phenomenal things. Like, they're one of my favorite things in AEW right now. John Silver has come a long way. So
Yeah, it was great. Dark Order for me. You know, when I said it before, I thought they sucked. I wanted them to get rid of them. They proved me wrong. I'm totally 180 on this. I'm digging this now. They're intriguing.
Alrighty. So now we had Thunder Rosa taking on Serena Deeb.
Hold on. I know that there wasn't much in that Dark Order video to get anybody like intrigued or anything. We all know that it was just meant to hype up. But some of the stuff that was shot in there was kind of intriguing. Like Matt Cardova, for instance. His shot at Brody Lee when Brody goes like, "I'm the monster that you created." And his response back to us, "Bro, so what? You got a chip on your shoulder and now you're pissed off at the system or the world? Get in line." I was loving the fact that he's pretty much taking this whole idea that this whole thing that Brody's doing is like, I'm acting this way because no one believed in me. And Matt Cardova is like, so what? You're not the first and you're not the last. And I liked how in his follow-up he goes, I even loved it in his follow-up he goes, I'm here to wrestle as well, and I don't even work here. Which was really interesting, honestly. Now, maybe Matt Cardova is only there for maybe just wrestle a couple events, but if he's gonna drop those like spicy one-liners like he did in that little video promo, I have no problem seeing him maybe once a month on AEW. Honestly, if it means he's gonna have more ammunition to start firing at wrestlers. Okay, now I'm done.
Anybody else? All right, so we had Thunder Rosa taking on Shayna Deeb. This was a great match. I'm glad Thunder Rosa didn't squash her. I'm absolutely thrilled by that because when they have monsters or like contenders come out, they usually squash the person. But Shayna Deeb actually looked strong. Thunder Rosa had to dig deep. She got the win like we expected, but it was a good match. Villain, what'd you think, Mr. Chip Muncher?
Hands down, match of the week for me. I'm calling right now. This was the match of the week for me. I watched this match at least 4 times today. Once yesterday, 4 times today at work. So that's 5 times. It is so crazy how everybody online is talking about how shitty AEW's women division is, and they're saying this is the best women's match AEW's had. And there's 2 women that are not even signed to AEW. So for me, that's a big problem. But this match was amazing. You guys know I love women wrestling, because I think they should get their fair share, and these women did. This was a banger. There was no sloppy shit. There was no botches. The match had time to breathe. There was really no hesitation. Everything just kept going. It was smooth. And, man, I don't know who the other girl was. I'm not in tune with NXT, from the past. Or I guess she was on SmackDown before. I've never heard of Sadie Debs or whatever her name was. But thank you. Yeah, she wrestled really well. Where I'm like, what's the holdup? Sign these 2, like I had to start wrecking my brain to be like, there was better matches on AEW television when it comes to women's division. Excuse me. But this match was a far cry from what we're used to seeing, and it sucks for AEW when it's like you got 2 women that just pulled out the fucking banger that everybody's saying is the number 1 match in the AEW women's history. They're not even signed. But, these 2 women went. They both showed strength. They both showed skill. I was really intrigued with Thunder Rosa because I used to watch her on NWA, Tuesday nights. Tuesday or whatever time they went on. But the one thing I remember seeing from her from the NWA thing was when she was gonna fight like in an MMA match. They did like a little special for her. They showed her training. They showed her just without the paint talking. They showed her going into the match. Then they showed like after the match, and her entourage or whatever. And I was like, man, this woman has depth. I really liked her backstory, and it was really simplistic, and it was genuine, and it just filled all the gaps I needed for Thunder Rosa. So that's the only thing that I wish they could have did right here was did something to kind of show some of these women's backstories. But man, this match was fucking, like I said, the best match of the week. Thunder Rosa won. She had the NWA title out there, and shit, I can't say nothing else but praises, man. Like all the other women on that roster need to wake the fuck up, man, and try to go hard, man. They got a lot of women, jobbing on the dark, but man, people need to step their game up because this match was great, and it sucks that these two women are not signed. So I don't know how you do that, man. That just about to make my mind explode because, you got good wrestlers there, but this is what everybody's talking about right now. They're not talking about nothing else except this match. This is the match everybody's talking about when after Wednesday night.
100% facts. JB3. Oh, yes. You must ASAP. Paynemaker, what did you think about this fight?
Okay. I was vibing and clashing with with the villain statements. Okay. I'm vibing. Yeah, this was the best AEW match of the week, without doubt. But at the same time, I'm one of those people who would still support the women's division, even though it has not been at the level we wanted it to be. Yes, there has been slips and falls, but to be honest, with the AEW, when they were building this division, I did not expect it to be on the same level or at the same speed as when the Bucks were building the tag division, when they were building their singles division. I didn't expect that, especially since at the time the roster was mainly going to consist of, before everything shut down, of Joshi wrestlers. Because that's where most of the experience and talent was coming from. The Joshi wrestlers, like with Riho, Shida, Yuki Sakazaki, like any I'm forgetting her name, but she's oh my gosh, Sakara, yes. Like those are the wrestlers that looked like they were going to be building up, because from Double or Nothing all the way down to a Full Gear, the Joshi wrestlers outside of Brit Baker and Penelope Ford, and then at the incoming signed Chris Statlander, those are the ones getting the most matches out of all of them. So then when everything shut down, yeah, the cracks were even showing there too. And I'm not saying Haven's not wrong, that it is an insult that these two women who put on one of the best matches, but it just shows that these two women, they're not only of a different breed of wrestlers, but they also understood the speed and style of the AEW matches that we've been seeing lately, and they are able to not only meet those expectations, but at times exceed those. Now, I don't want to throw shade to all the women that's there, like Ali, like Penelope Ford, like Shida, like Nyla, though. But hell with Brit. Ever since Brit's heel turn, she's been incorporating that into her character, to where she had a standout match against Shida when her nose got busted open. If Brit had not gotten injured, who knows where the women's division could have gone? Brit and Shida could have been the two cornerstone of the new women's division. But since that's not happening, I still love this match. And to answer your question, Serena Deep, she was part of WWE back in the early 2000s, like late 2000s. She was part of CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. She was the girl who got her head shaved. And she also made appearances on the Mae Young Classic. I think the recent one that had Io Shirai, that had Toni Storm. She was one of the wrestlers there, the second Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
And she's also been a trainer on NXT as well. She's also trained with her on NXT. So she not only did she know from a professional standpoint how to put on a match, but also from not like as a wrestler, but also as a coach as well. So she didn't have to work, and she had great chemistry with Rosa. And I was loving the changes that was happening. You saw technical standpoints between the two of them out trying to do submission holds on each other, where we got to see an octopus actually perfectly executed in a ring in a women's match. And then the quick changes, with the quick roll-up changes, even though it wasn't those 1-2s, but the fact they were able to do those on one count, like roll up, one, switch, 1, 1, 1, 1. Like those two knew how to hit those AEW. They were able to give us a female version of a Young Bucks match. Not up to the 5 or 6 star like Dave Meltzer would overrate that, but at least a very strong match to where this could be a great jumping off point, or at least an example for the women's wrestlers. So I am vibing with you that this was the best match, guys, but I'm still at the same time going like I still think the women's division can build itself back up. It's just gonna take long. At this point, I'm willing to wait.
Dose, do you have anything to add to that?
I hope so. I'm vibing and jiving with these guys. I mean, first of all, I don't agree with everything Paynemaker said because that would just make things really weird.
Add another 40 minutes to the show?
Yeah, no, I agree with everyone that this was a really solid match. Probably the best match of the night. It was definitely two professional wrestlers were in the ring, which is not always the case in AEW's women's division. I don't know if it was the best AEW's women's match, but it's in the conversation. I thought that Nyla and Shida had a really good match. There were probably some others. I don't know. People liked Rio. I didn't. She's just too small for me to buy anything. Anyway, not important. I think it was a really good match. I think it was at the exact wrong time. If this was to sell Thunder Rosa competing for the title, it shouldn't have been such a good match. She should have beaten somebody looking dominant and strong to just march right in and get a title match. So it was a great match, but the wrong time. The story was supposed to be Thunder Rosa, another promotions champion, comes in, beats somebody big time. She's challenging Shida. Instead, she had a pretty even, solid match with somebody that nobody's ever heard of before that was on AEW. It wasn't even like it was Penelope Ford or Big Swole or someone that they've built stuff around. It was a nobody that even longtime fans didn't recognize her from Straight Edge Society. So I knew who she was, but I'm on the internet all the time. So good match, wrong time. I don't know that anybody cares about that. I did. I thought Thunder Rosa should have looked a bit more like a monster, not a technician that won a good match. But how coming out of that match does that say 1-0 and you deserve a title shot?
Fair enough. All right. Then we had Mox destroying. And this whole thing was a clusterfuck, in my opinion. MJF's attorney. You can basically.
I like the segment with MJF in the locker room, though. I like that little segment there with Wardlow, like just breaking down that damn door, and then MJF pretty much just like getting in his freaking face. I actually didn't mind that. That was actually a funny segment too. Normally, most WWE standards, it's kind of be like, oh, they're gonna bring him out, kicking and dragging and screaming, but instead it was just like you just needed Wardlow, and that was it.
Okay, why don't you, Ryan, go ahead and tell us what you thought of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was a squash match, 100%. Nothing. It was gonna be nothing less, to be honest. I mean, if we were expecting to see a good match out of this guy, then you completely did. No one was paying attention to last week with that contract signing. This is just for Moxley to have some fun before he starts to go to war with MJF at All Out. Now, of course, some of the spots I did enjoy was, I like some of the comedy storytelling we were getting from Moxley, though. Like when he gets in the ring, he's praying to God, like, oh, forgive me for I'm about to murder this dude. And then he just plays around with him to where I love the fact when he finally had it, he just takes off his shoe, beats him with it, and then hits the paradigm shift. As someone who has had fights of someone taking off their shoe and wanting to beat you or bloody you with it. I have to admit that was just hilarious. That worked for me. And of course, afterwards, Wardlow destroying him, giving him that F10 or that the Super F5, whatever they want to call it. It pretty much goes to show that no matter how tough Moxley is, Wardlow, they haven't forgotten that Wardlow is still the next toughest guy. Like, he's still a monster. And then, of course, the end with MJF. It was obvious to everybody after he got Paradigm Shift, he wasn't really injured. But because of MJF's solid performance, him willing to go over all out with, selling that he has a damaged neck, to that contract signing, then to him just throwing away the walker, taking off that neck brace, and then just starts the beat down, to using that ring, to actually doing something with that ring I thought should have been done in the past. He busts the dude open. Because I never believed for 1 second that dynamite ring could knock somebody out. But I knew it could bust somebody open, and it showed that with Moxley. And then you see how it gave you a different level of MJF there, to where he's not going to be as vicious as Moxley, but we do know with Wardlow on his side, we are going to see a dark side of MJF happening Saturday.
Villain.
Yeah, man, I'm flabbergasted. I don't know what Ryan's talking about when he said that he experienced people taking off shoes to fight him, because I only seen that in women fighting in the streets when they take off their shoes. I've never seen a man take off his shoe to fight another man.
So you don't remember high school gyms or high school basketball where dudes want to take their Jordans off and want to beat you with them.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, bro. You already dug your own grave. So anyway,
this was a funny moment.
Okay. Yeah. So this was this whole Dynamite show was a letdown to me personally. Building to a pay-per-view, I know they had to kind of throw the stuff in there to try to get you hyped for the pay-per-view. I was gonna get the pay-per-view regardless. But to me personally, this was kind of a weak transition to go from, the night before, not the night before, I guess, the last episode to a pay-per-view. Yeah, they had the comedy spots. I don't mind that because I know it's not forced on Moxley. I know that's probably something that he wants to do. So I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. But that was always kind of a hamper thing when he was in WWE, was, being a comedy kind of guy, which is weird because a lot of people know him from being a hardcore guy to being kind of like a goofball. This to me was kind of like, all right, I'm not going to strike it out. He's going to fight the lawyer. Ha ha ha. But we got the beat down after. That was the main point of this. He got bloodied up. Goddamn, I can't even speak. Wardlow, he hit the F10. Moxley landed on his hip. So I was kind of like, But, when MJF punched him in the head, with the ring, he got bloody. So, it leaves you with with the last minute visuals of, okay, this is going to be serious at the pay-per-view. That's what it was meant for. So, it is what it is. But yeah, all in all, this Dynamite to me was kind of not the best, but it was kind of going into pay-per-view. I thought it would have been stronger, but I guess they had to rush a lot of stuff into the 2 hours. So it was kind of like really clusterfucked, but we'll see. Maybe this is they had to show the paradigm shift because he can't use it at pay-per-view. But yeah, it was what it was.
JV3, do you have anything you want to say about this, or are we going to see the same board?
My board's blank. So I watched all of this. I agree with Villain. For what I've seen of the show, it was disappointing. I wasn't as disappointing with the main event. I wasn't as disappointed with the beatdown. I actually, with everything that went down, I think it's something MJF needed. Everyone knew his neck wasn't hurt, but the fact that he made him bleed before, it made him a little bit more credible for the title. Because, before going in there, he was trying to get the paradigm shift, you know what I'm saying, banned. And everybody was like, "Oh, MJF's, can't beat Moxley." He beat him, took his shirt off. He had some muscle. Was doing a little flexing, and yeah, I just think it's something that he needed. Not nearly what a go home show should be. I gotta watch that match though, that women's match. I'm gonna watch that. I'm still excited for All Out. But and like I said, MJF needed it. I don't know if it made me any more excited for the actual match between Moxley and MJF. I'm hoping we're surprised and it's a really, really good match.
Alrighty. Let's wrap up this show, shall we? We got a few more things to quickly talk about. And just like it was said, All Out, ladies and gentlemen, is Saturday night. Let's talk about their pre-show match. And it comes upon.
Well, I don't know if anyone has thoughts on, but what about the segment with FTR, Paige, and Omega? Like, no, yeah,
It happened. I mean, it was it nothing really that hadn't happened the last couple of weeks. I mean,
okay. No worries.
It just signifies that FTR is the heel. I mean, that's pretty much the way I saw it. If anybody else has something else, thought any other way.
All right.
I don't think Evil Dose talked about the Moxley MJF stuff.
I didn't, but I'm okay with if the show needs to move on.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you already talked about it. I got so lost in Ryan's thesis on it.
Okay. I'll try and give him my 30 seconds. My favorite part of this entire thing was the backstage stuff where Lee goes, it hurts me to tell you this. He goes, does it, Lee? Does it really? And then Wardlow kicked in the locked door where the lawyer was hiding. That was funny. But this was the cartoon part of the show. We knew what it was going to be. Frankly, I thought this segment went a little bit longer than I would have liked it to have been. Maybe less with the lawyer and more with the beatdown part of it, because Moxley was like laid out after one clothesline, and then all of a sudden he was ready to take the finisher twice. I think maybe a few more moves before he got into Wardlow's finisher. It's not like he was tired out after beating up Mark Sterling. Aside from that, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I'm perfectly content to move on to.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, on the buy-in, we have Dr. Britt Baker taking on Big Swole in a tooth and nail cinematic match. I don't know why it's on the pre-show. I'm kind of disappointed about that. I'll go ahead and go first. I think Britt Baker wins this. Yeah, she's coming back. She's going to be, probably Cheetah's next opponent. Evil Dose, what have you got and why?
Well, I think I know why it's on the pre-show. One, it's the least important match with the least important story, but also it's the cinematic match. What I don't know is what's the goal of the match. I understand the tooth part for Britt Baker. I don't understand the nail part. It's not like Swole is a construction worker or a carpenter, but it's an interesting concept. Probably means that Britt Baker isn't 100% yet, and they're looking to protect her. I don't think either of these ladies are that great at wrestling, so I think that's fine. So I'm interested. I'd rather watch them in a cinematic match than in a match in front of a crowd for no particular reason. So, but I agree with you. I think that despite Swole getting embarrassed by the pizza and all that, 2020 has been the year of the evil dentist. She's just been, even without wrestling, she has been one of the MVPs, if not the MVP of AEW. She's been terrific. So I hope she wins. I think she's been great.
Yeah. JB3.
I got Britt Baker.
Okay. Villain.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Britt Baker. The ass whooping she put on Big Swole was really intense. I really liked that little short segment they did. She looked very dominant, and she's just a bigger star. You know, she's got Reba in her corner. Unless Little Swole is going to come out and interfere, I'm intrigued to see the cinematic match. I'm kind of like surprised that they put it on the main or on the pre-show because you know they had the most build, but I can understand why. But yeah, I think Brit Baker has to win this one, so I'm picking her.
And Paynemaker.
Yeah, to be honest, at first I wasn't exactly sure how quickly she recovered, but after seeing what happened on Dynamite and the fact that Reba is going to be a factor involved in this little match, even then, I'm still going to go with Brit. I mean, I like Big Swole. I think that there's something there for her. It's just right now, with Brit coming back now that she's recovered, she's gonna be a supernova after this match. Like she's gonna be put into the bigger spotlight after this.
Alrighty, let's move on to our next match, and it is Matt Hardy taking on Sami Guevara in a Broken Rules match. And the stipulation is if Matt Hardy loses, he leaves AEW. Evil Dose, who you got?
I thought it was that if either one of them lost, the loser leaves town. I didn't know it was just Matt. So if that's the case, I guess Matt has to win because I don't think he's losing unless he's going to be Damascus instead of Matt Hardy and do that kind of thing or put a mask on because he didn't want to be an agent in WWE. So I don't know why he would come to AEW just to become an agent or a backstage guy 4 months later. I don't know. I thought this feud was over already. I'm going to say Hardy wins. He doesn't leave.
All right, Paynemaker.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one. This match is kind of one of 3 matches here on All Out that makes me think this can go either way. I understand with Sami back, they want to once again highlight him. But at the same time, he did get into some heat after what happened with Matt with that thrown chair. And while Matt, at first, he wasn't going to do the whole broken gimmick anymore, but after that little chair shot, it was kind of like he was kind of reluctantly forced back in that position to where he's actually making gold out of it. But it's really difficult. Like maybe Matt Hardy, if Matt does lose, maybe he'll come back as one of his gimmicks. And instead, it's not, Matt Hardy's gone, but Big Money Matt's here, or Damascus is here, or Broken Matt is here, I mean, there could be some creative outcomes from this match, but ultimately, I just don't see Sami getting the win here, so I'm going with Matt.
Villain.
I'm going with Sami Guevara because he needs a big win. He needs a established star to put him over, and that's what you're supposed to do when you're an older star. And Sami, a lot of people say he's going to be the future. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And I don't see a problem with Matt Hardy, taking a pinfall here. And, of course, he could come back with any other gimmick. So I think Sami needs this to try to, push him up, in the card.
JB3? Remy G.
Same reason.
See, I think I'm going to go Matt Hardy just due to the fact it's the Broken Rules match. That's the only reason. All right. Next up, we got the Dark Order taking on Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares. I'll just pull up the picture and I'll go first while it's up. Dark Order wins. They're on a roll. That's that. JB3, who you got?
Dark Order.
Huh?
JB3?
Hey, who's in the match?
Dark Order and
Who from Dark Order? He's asking. Who from Dark Order?
Who's on the other side?
Matt. Well, if you look at the screen, it's Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares.
My bad.
Whoa! Wow, he's taking the faces.
Yeah, I could totally see Scorpio Sky getting the pin, and then starting a feud with Brody for the TNT championship.
See, I think if that's going to happen, it'd be Matt Cardona doing that, but that's just me. I think that the faces are just going to job to the Dark Order. Villain, you said Dark Order, did you not?
Yep, Dark Order.
All right, Wakanda forever.
I'm gonna be with JV3. I'm going with the faces on this one. As much as I'm loving the Dark Order, and as much as I loved how I was right with their booking with Brody Lee, at this point, there's no natural progression for them to get an opponent for Brody Lee. So to say you have Scorpio or Matt or heck even Dustin gets the victory here to start a feud against Brody Lee would be a smarter choice. I mean, is Brody Lee? Who else from Dark Order is going to be there? Because I saw Colt, and then is it Uno and Grayson, or is it? Okay, so then I do see from that 3 potential feuds happening: the Natural Nightmares with Uno and Grayson, and then it's either Brody Lee versus Cordova or Brody Lee against Scorpio Sky. So I'm going with the faces on this one.
And Evil Dose, your blood feud.
I don't understand this face team at all. And that is part of the reason why I'm going to pick them. I think that this match will establish that Colt Cabana is not Dark Order material. He's going to lose. They're going to do something. I don't think this is Scorpio Sky to Brody. I agree it's going to be Matt Cardona for Brody. Whether it's a short or longer term thing, I don't know. I think Cardona only has 2 more matches after this one on his deal. Things can change, but I think that that would be a fine TV TNT title match. The 2 former WWE guys who both thought that they were wasted, and maybe it ends in a DQ or a count out next time, and they face each other again. I don't know what happens with Colt, but he clearly is the odd man out. Anna Jay fits in. She got a number, she got a mask, the whole thing. So, I'd like to think, that there'll be some screwery that Sky's going to go heel, or the QT Marshall's there to take the pin. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Colt is the weak link.
Okay, then. All right, let's move on to the 21-man Casino Battle Royale for an AEW Championship opportunity. And the participants are Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, Eddie Kingston, Sean Spears, Billy and Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, Chuck Taylor, Trent, and TBD. I personally would like to see Lance Archer win this one because if you look at Lance Archer and Mox's match over in New Japan, that Texas, oh God, what did they call it? A Texas death match, I believe was what it was. It's basically a false count anywhere, no DQ match. That was a hell of a match. It was a banger, absolutely beast of a match. They can bring that shit to AEW, let them go to town. I mean, we already know that AEW, when it comes to their championship matches, are kind of lenient with the rules anyways. So my pick's Lance Archer. Evil Dose, what you got?
This grouping doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I like your idea about Archer. I just feel like the whole thing with him and Cage has been tailor-made for them to take each other out. Same thing with Starks and Darby. The Kingston team, I want to say the Kingston trio, but there's 5 of them. That can't possibly work out. So the only thing that makes sense to me is if Sean Spears is going to be elevated and be part of this revival group, or revelations group rather, him winning maybe makes sense in that context. But I'm going to go with TBD. I don't know who TBD is, but I mean, the suspects are probably like a Rusev or maybe there's a swerve and NWA is working with AEW and it's Nick Aldis. So I'm going to go with either Spears or TBD. I know that's a cop-out picking too. That's my pick.
Not at all. Do you have a guess on who TBD might be?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be NWA. They have not disappointed with their surprises mostly, so I'm pulling for Rusev. I want it to be Rusev. I'm not sure that I think it's going to be Rusev, but I want it to be. So let's go with Rusev or Miro.
Miro, okay. Paynemaker. Oh, while he gets set up, my TBD is Eric Redbeard, because he was rumored to have debuted a couple of weeks ago. They actually had pictures supposedly of him with the TNT title. Now, yes, that didn't happen. Thunder Rosa did. So maybe they decided to pull that part from it and have him debut here. So mine's going to be Eric Rowan or Eric Redbeard. Wakanda.
I'm actually going to go with Shawn Spears on this one. Mainly because, look, from that crazy assness of the Battle Royal, when you had those heel managers all show up there with Eddie cutting those promos, Tully and Shawn just walked out there, not like they were skulking, but like they were pretty much scouting. Like every day, ever since Double or Nothing, when Shawn had that comedy match, humiliating defeat against Dustin, Tully Blanchard came back with fire under his ass to where you see him and Scully in this crowd scouting for talent, which led to FTR and Blanchard being aligned with each other. And also, Shawn Spears getting himself revamped on Dark by taking on the gloved hand gimmick that's been with wrestlers in the past. And I think that's building towards something. If it's not, we saw with Scorpio Sky, all those wins on Dark elevate to a TNT match. With Spears, he has been nonstop winning on Dark. It has to go to something. So I have to believe it's going to be him playing it smart, being coy, being a veteran, and maybe picking his moment to win. And also, I have to believe that this the Fear of the Revelation and Shawn Spears and Blanchard, that's gonna be an alliance, not just Blanchard just working with two different talents. No, that's gonna be a team. So I'm going to go with Spears on this one.
Alrighty. And who's TBD?
Let's see, TBD. I'm gonna shoot for the park. I'm gonna say it's Jay Lethal.
Okay. Villain.
I'm gonna pick TBD in this match because, like the last two matches that we talked about, I picked opposite of former WWE guys because if it's just gonna be WWE guys winning matches, then it's gonna be the shit that we always talk about. It's gonna be former WWE guys getting wins in AEW. So that's why my predictions have been guys that are not former WWE guys, because if we pick Matt Hardy and we pick Matt, whatever the fuck his last name is, in the match, then this whole pay-per-view is like, oh, now they just gave wins to WWE guys. But this match, I can see them going that route because my prediction is going to be TBD, because the last time we seen something like this happen, we had a new guy show up, and that was Brian Cage, and he won it, and then he got a title shot. So my prediction is going to be TBD is going to be Brock Lesnar is going to come in. This is his contract's been up for a minute. Yep, JB3. Yep, that's why we right here, brother, because we watch this shit. We watch this shit. Everybody else wants to speculate and just make fantasy shit, but we watch this shit. So you know what? Tony Khan and his father, as soon as they heard about Brock Lesnar shit, they took a fucking flight. They took the private fucking helicopter to Canada, landed on the damn grass. Brock Lesnar was there chopping wood. He turned around with the axe on his back, looked up, seen Tony Khan and said, okay, what's up? How much you going to pay me? Okay. So I do one pay-per-view where I come in, beat the shit out of half your roster, and then next time I'm there, it's a title fight, I'm there. Boom. Book it.
I just want to say that I fucking love that call.
I had that shit wrote down for like since this. I wrote it down immediately.
It's spicy.
Yep, right here, brother.
Whoa, I give both of y'all too sweet for that one. If that shit is popping off, as a matter of fact, as soon as his music hits, we all of us are going to be in our chat blowing it up. We're going to be discussing that more than we're going to be discussing having an eye on that eye for an eye match.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what if the mystery opponent is Ray's eye?
I could see that.
How do we know it's Ray's eye? We'll have like a little mask on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another match with just
Tattoo of 619.
All right. Let's move on, gentlemen. We've got Hikaru Shida taking on Thunder Rosa. And as per Villain's request, I used this picture.
Beautiful picture.
Villain, since this was your picture, you tell us who's going to win this fight.
It's Shida. Shida's going to win. For as much as I'm loving Thunder Rosa, for as much as the hype is there now because of one sweet match Thunder Rosa has, it just makes business sense. You control a business. You're not going to have somebody outside of the business from another company come in and beat your person where you're not working with them exclusively. Like NWA doesn't have a weekly television deal or anything. They're not going to have somebody come in and beat their champion. And, I just don't see it because Shida has been there since the pandemics happened. She's been the only non-American from any country that's been there. Like Riho's not been there. None of the other Japanese women or the Chinese women or Asian women have been there. Shida's been there and she has been kicking ass. This is going to be a match that's going to be defining. This is going to be one of the top 10 greatest matches or top 20 greatest matches in the next 10 years when we look back in AEW history. And it's going to have to be Shida for me.
I agree. I'm not even going to. JB3 already said it. I agree. Evil Dust.
Shida.
Ryan. Here we go. Everybody strap in.
Talk your shit, Ryan. Talk your shit. Go ahead, brother. Oh, he's warming up.
I'm
Look,
still making my
mouth moving. He's warming up. Get it, Ryan. Get it.
Ding, ding.
This is the second match on the All Out card I'm also back and forth on. Because look, yeah, in a business sense, it makes 100% sense that Shida is coming out on top. And also, if you look at Shida from when she won that championship, she really hasn't had her reign, unfortunately, hasn't had that match or that. Normally, in most championship reigns, there's got to be like that one match to win when you defend championship to where you're like, where it kind of makes a wrestler having a belt worth it. Unfortunately, that wasn't it with Penelope Ford. And I think Thunder Rosa is going to be that opponent that's going to give that challenge that Shida has been looking for. And also for what us as the audience have been wanting for. There's that 25% part of me that thinks Thunder Rosa is going to get it. Not because of the fact that she's not just NWA, but also she's coming. When she made her promo and she says she's here for nothing else, it's pretty much it all out, regardless, win or lose. I mean, she's coming in for the championship. She loses, it can be like, yeah, that's just in. That was it. She just came here. She couldn't get the championship. She's gone, not permanently, but it's just kind of like that's all that matters to her. But man, look at the business. I'm going for Shida. I'm going for Shida, hands down. I'm going to lock it in. I'm going for Shida. But it would not surprise me that partway through the match they do these false missions or these all these teases in that storytelling that tells us that Rosa is going to walk out with that championship. And also, I do like this. I do like the image of a double belted Rosa.
Okay. Give me just a second. Next up, AEW Tag Team Championship. Omega and Page taking on FTR. I just think it's FTR's time. Bucks will win their match. They'll have a run. Bucks versus FTR at the next pay-per-view. Go ahead, JB3. Show us the board. FTR. Villain.
FTR. It makes sense because the only thing I don't like about this whole thing is that for some reason all the elite guys look like they're turning heel. The Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and now Kenny Omega. It's like all you fucking guys need to turn heel now because FTR showed up and they're heels. I'm taking FTR. It's about do we get new tag team champions, and they're a great tag team.
Ryan.
I think Hangman is technically he's the only legitimate face, actually. I mean, they did try to. I think at this point, Hangman can't be turned heel because of how over he is with the fans. To be honest, a heel Kenny Omega makes sense because, let's be honest, with face Kenny Omega, he's fine though. But if you're trying to look for those top bill matches, those like matches that's going to leave you on the edge of your seats, you're going to get that with heel Omega. And also, Kenny on the mic as a heel, he'll throw down so much fire than he could have as a face, unfortunately. And also, this with Kenny, this leads to something I'm going to talk about down the road. I don't think FTR is getting the belt, so I'm going with Hangman and Page. I mean, Hangman and Omega. Wow.
Evil Dose.
I think that this starts the actual end of the honeymoon period because I do think it's going to start the Revelation as being an actual faction that matters, and FTR getting the titles and my other prediction of Spears, or my sort of prediction of Spears. The reason why I say I think it's the end of the honeymoon period is because this has to lead to a schism between Page and Omega, and one of them's going heel. If it's so, whoever it is, if Omega is the heel and has to lose the feud to Page, then you're going to get the people complaining that Omega's not booking himself strong. We're not getting the Kenny that we wanted from Japan, and so now you're going to start getting the booking complaints that you get in other promotions. So the era of normalcy begins, and yes, I think FTR and Tully walk away with the titles.
All righty. Next up, we have the Mayhem Mimosas match. It is basically pinfall submission or throw your partner or your opponent in a big ass vat of mimosas. This is basically the third one in this match. I think. I think Orange Cassidy wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jericho beats him. But then something happens and Jericho's ass gets thrown in the vat of OJ. But I'm gonna take Cassidy. JB3, what's on your board? No contest. They both go in the tank. Okay. Villain?
I think it's going to happen.
I'm taking Orange Cassidy, and it's not going to be a pinfall. It's not going to be a submission. It's going to be Chris Jericho falling in the tank. The visuals look better. He could play it up more. He has more. He has more television. He's been on television so much that he knows how to be dramatic and over the top. So I could see him in the tank wailing his arms and shit, and that's how he loses. And the Orange Cassidy gets to win that way. I think the match is going to actually be really well done. It's going to be a hard-fought match, but I think that's how it's going to end. Because Orange Cassidy falling into the tank, he'll probably just, put the thumbs up while he goes down, like Terminator, and then boop, boop, you see a couple but yeah. That's what I'm going to say about this, but I think it's Orange Cassidy's time. He's going to get this, and it's not going to hurt Jericho. because Jericho is just gonna fall in a tank of orange juice and fucking bubbly. So yeah.
Ryan. Ghost.
Okay. Here is what I'm afraid is going to happen. They're both going to go in the tank and become best friends. Here is what I want to happen. Jericho wins, but still ends up going in the tank because one way or another, he's going in the tank. Here's what I think is going to happen, because it's what's supposed to happen, is that Orange Cassidy will win and Jericho still ends up in the tank. But I think it might be one of those like the Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman ambulance matches when Braun was beating him in every way, but Roman did something funny, sidestepped, opened the door, and Braun ran straight into the ambulance back. I think it'll be something like that, where Jericho is dominating at the end. He goes for like some sort of running move, slips on a banana peel or something, and ends up, falling into the tank. So,
Alrighty. And last but not certainly least, we have for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Jon Moxley and MJF. My opinion, Mox retains. Dose, go ahead.
Yeah, I am having trouble seeing MJF as the champion right now. I think Moxley retains. I think it's some sort of clever finish where it's not paradigm shift, but it's something really darn close, just a little variation on the move, a different modified DDT. Maybe he calls it the anodyne shift or something like that, and wins that way. I don't know if there's going to be any schism between Wardlow and MJF. I know that that's what everyone sort of thinks. It's actually what part of me thinks, but I'm going to say that they're going to avoid screwiness with this one, and Moxley just does a version of the DDT, calls it a different kind of dime shift, and wins that way. And then MJF can say he cheated, that move was banned. He's like, no, the paradigm shift is this, but the anodyne shift was this, or well, something like that.
JB3. Villain.
Evil Dose brings up a lot of good points, man, that I didn't think about. For signing the contract, stipulation, not the paradigm shift, you can go a lot of ways after this. But to be honest, I think right now, AEW, Jon Moxley's had okay run with the title. Hasn't been the greatest. So I think that maybe they need to try out some new blood, man. That's why they got all these brand new people on their roster that a lot of people haven't seen. I've been one of those guys that I wished MJF had a lot more matches, so people could really see what he's about. But for your third champion ever, maybe it's time, maybe they give him a chance and, see how it goes, because, Moxley might move somewhere else, in the card, and they could try to create new feuds. So right now I'm going to have to pick, I'm going to pick MJF on this one.
All righty. Ryan, close us out for the night.
Okay, well, this is definitely another match. This is the third match on the card. I think can go either way too. I do agree with Villain. Mox hasn't had the best reign, unfortunately. And it's no fault of his own. Most of it had to do because of the shutdown. Other times it's because he was booked against monsters who were just given the quick push, honestly. And he really wasn't given like that one steady feud. Just it carries my same sentiment with Shida. Both of these two were not given a steady feud to help build, to at least give them to help make their run as champion worth being memorable, or at least that helps it stand out for themselves. Which is why I'm going with Mox for the win. Nothing against MJF. It's just that with MJF, he's a great promo talker. His matches against Jungle Boy has shown he can go in the ring and he can vibe with good chemistry. But throughout this entire build, before he started doing the walker and neck brace. He hasn't wrestled. Outside of his feud with Jungle Boy, he has not been in the ring. And while as a heel champion, this could definitely work with builds when he goes up against faces. But mostly, at least when it comes to some of the smart marks out there, he needs to at least wrestle every now and then. And the fact that he has not wrestled since Double or Nothing, I think from what I can recall, it kind of gives me a lot of doubt on MJF. Now, him being a young champion, and a couple months ago, before all this shutdown happened, I did predict in my mind that MJF would be the one to take the belt off Moxley. But the problem is, because since this whole shutdown and after Double or Nothing, nothing has validated that in my mind. Yes, he's undefeated. He hasn't lost at all in singles. So there are stakes involved here. Like, it's not just the championship. Both of these men are undefeated this year. So whoever wins is going to get a loss this year. And it's double effective to MJF because he's been undefeated since he came to AEW. But now let me bring back to when I talked about heel Omega. If Kenny turns heel, I think the first person he's going to go after is Mox, because after Full Gear, their death match, their unsanctioned match, Kenny did not have an opportunity to do a rubber match against Moxley. He ended up getting himself into a feud with Pac. What better way to establish a heel Omega is by having him immediately target Mox and restart that feud that they were building off in the beginning when Mox had showed up at Double or Nothing to when it got stalled at All Out. This time, Mox is champion. This way, not only do you have heel Omega back, but you also get the opportunity of having both Moxley and Omega as badasses cut ripping promos on each other. So when these two have their next match at, let's say, Full Gear, believe me, these two are going to be chomping at the bit at each other to fight. But that's just fantasy booking wise. That's why I think if Kenny Omega does turn heel, Mox would be the perfect person for him to go after. So my vote is going towards Mox. And also, I think MJF, he's unfortunately, to me, he's fallen into where he's just going to be another speed bump on Mox's reign.
All right, Ryan, why don't you tell the people where they can find you at on the interwebs?
All right, well, people can find me here on Suplex City Chat, throwing out hot takes, throwing out what ifs, getting myself ran down by everybody on this panel. You know, I'm pretty much just an island of pain here. Only person that lives on this island, me. Only person that actually exists on this island, me. Is anyone going to visit the island? Nope. They're just there to dump. They're just there to dump shit on me and go and leave. So you guys can find me on Suplex City Chats and also check me out on TMG Trivia.
All right, Evil Dose, how about you? Where can people find you?
All right, well, you can find me right here Thursday nights, and when we do recap shows on Suplex City Chats, talking wrestling. This week, me and my co-host are guests on the Inhuman Experience podcast, so that should be fun. Check it out. And, of course, my regular podcast, Garden of Doom. Episode 7 should be dropping tomorrow. And we talk about important things like what's going on in Kenosha and Bigfoot. So we're a little bit all over the place on purpose, by design. So Garden of Doom, you can find it wherever you find your podcasts. Icarus Fell MD is my Twitter handle. See you there.
All right, Villain, lay it out, brother.
Well, of course, I hope everybody that watched this tonight can please contribute to the young girl that this episode is dedicated to, you know, Christy's daughter. Please make a donation if you can. You know, that's much appreciated. You know, of course, you can find us here on Thursdays at Suplex City Chats. You know, my predictions are always the best. That's why I be spanking these guys, you know, on the tush. You know, sometimes I spank Ryan so long after I'm done, he's still jumping around, shaking his ass like he's twerking. I don't know what that's about, but, you know, that's neither here or there. And, of course, you know, you can find me on Jack of All Trivia. That's a YouTube channel I have. First and foremost, that's a Facebook page. You know, that's how you get into our league. You know, we do a lot of trivia stuff, you know, and YouTube also. I want to thank everybody that's here, and I hope we see Jacob Barber. He's always in our thoughts. Too sweet to that brother. We'll see him back soon. And Ryan, you know, he's going to message me tonight. He might send me a picture. He always trying to send me something, try to get me aroused or disgusted. I don't know mindset, but that's the Paynemaker. That's my brother in arms. We got to talk shit to each other, but that's what we're here for. I'm out.
JB3.
Well, yeah, definitely. If you can, try to donate to that cause to help the family. Please. Yeah, you can find me here at Suplex City Chats Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, until really late at night. Also, if you could, this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, over at Nerd Entertainment Network, Combat Wrestling Trivia is presenting Undisputed. It's a big pay-per-view, free preview type event. It's got 3 big matches, so check it out. September 6th, this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Sunday. Oh, it felt like a monster truck rally there for a minute. And of course, like they all said, you can find me here at Suplex City. We will be back Monday sometime to break down this all-out pay-per-view. Will Villain catch up with me in my lead? I am still 1 pay-per-view ahead of him. As well as Saturday night, we'll be here for an After Dark. The guest we were going to have had to postpone till next week, which is no big deal. Then Sunday at 10 Eastern, we'll be back with another Movie Mania match. That's always good fun. Till then, everybody, if you can, like they said, donate to Elizabeth's cause. If you can't, that's understandable. But like, share, comment, subscribe. Do the same with their Facebook group. And everybody, wash your hands, wear a mask, and be friendly.